So other than capital expenses, can you sort of give us a sense for the areas where the funding just really tends to run short? Like, are we talking pharmacy budgets? Is it, staffing? Where else is it a struggle really to make up the differences?
Kind of everywhere, I would say. Even labor. So let's say that, the government negotiates a contract with the provincial nursing union.
Yeah.
And let's say that they decide to give them 2% a year. That's great. So they give 2% a year, and they will give us the 2%. What they don't give us is the money, that the proportion that we have to pay for benefits. So
Mm,
as you increase somebody's pay, we pay a certain proportion that is prorated, for benefits. And that's always an amount that we end up having to eat and,
right.
and carry, because it's never added to the total. So that's been something that year over year over year, you continue to have to eat it. It grows exponentially, over time, which is a regular feature, particularly for nursing, is usually never covered, unless it is, for example, something that you've structured into your budget for on call. So operating rooms, for example, on call over the night, that's a regular part of your schedule. That's part of your budget. But if it's just for overflow beds and things like that, unless they have specifically designated funding, and oftentimes they do, they'll say, okay, we have extra funding this year. We'll fund your overflow beds, but only for 1 year. Next year, you're back to square one again. And, right now there's a problem in Canada, but I would say particularly in Ontario, where there is a need for regulation of nursing agencies. So what these nursing agencies do is that they pop up and they hire the staff that have already been working in the hospitals. They're my staff, other my colleagues' staff, and they work part-time for these agencies, and they make double the money. And the agency charges the hospital triple the money, and they take the profit. And there's almost no regulation in this right now. And this is a big, big issue, and it's a big waste of money right now. And it could be regulated, but there seems to be some political challenges with doing that.
Wow.
Leave it at that. That's my opinion. Now that I'm retired, I can say it.
On that front, what is a nursing? I never heard of that. A nursing agency, is that a private entity, or is that just a almost like so it is a private entity?
Private entity, it's a private corporation. They hire staff. They then contract with a hospital or health authority. And so when you completely have tapped out on your own staff, you can't get any overtime, you can't do whatever, and you've got a full ICU of patients, that's your desperation move. And it used to be unheard of, but now they've cropped up everywhere. And, there are long-term care facilities, for example, that 50% of their staff are agency staff. So think about the cost of that, to the system.
Wow. Yeah. So there's a lot of fires, basically, is what you're saying
There's
in
a
a
lot of
hospital from a
fires. And
financial.
I should just say that creates a lot of quality issues. And that's the issue. Not that the nurses themselves can't, aren't good nurses, because they work for us. But think about, if you're punted to a new hospital all the time, it takes a while to learn the systems and processes at that hospital. And anytime you don't know that very well and you're working in a fast-paced environment, the opportunity for error is there. And it definitely goes up the more agency staff you have. So that's a real problem. But, to get back to your question, what else am I short in? Pharmaceuticals often, because, there is group purchasing in Canada and in provinces, and that helps a lot. You will know that our drug costs in Canada are substantially lower than they are in the United States. And it's that group purchasing that really helps us with that, as well as our, wide use of generics. But there'll be a new cancer drug, for example, on the scene, and you're not going to deny the patient. But now all of a sudden you're using a drug mid budget cycle that you haven't budgeted for, and so those things are cost overruns. You know, um, equipment that just breaks down that you didn't expect to break down, so you didn't have that in the budget. You only have so much contingency to pay for those things. Episodes like outbreaks. When you get an outbreak in your hospital, all of a sudden you're probably paying, 1.5 times in terms of staffing, in terms of cleaning, all of those things. So, those are the things that cost us lots of money, and overflow beds, I would say, because if your emergency is so backed up and it's unsafe, you have to put people in beds, and then you have to staff those beds. You have to clean those beds. You have to provide food for those beds, all of those things, and that all costs money.